Opioids are necessary for pain management, but not always. For example, my other son, Matthew, he had his wisdom teeth pulled, and they had given me a script for 20 Percocet. And I had even asked, is this necessary? And she totally blew me off, which I was really pissed off. I'm a foul mouth, so I try to just be real and be me. And with Matthew, I filled the prescription because I didn't know how he would do with the surgery. And I didn't want him to be in agonizing pain through the night, but I filled it, I didn't tell him about it, and I hid them. And we just treated his pain with ibuprofen. And guess what? He did not take one Percocet. He was fine. So here, I just would like you to take away that if somebody's offering you opioids for pain management, please have a conversation with the physician if there's any other alternatives for that care. And then if you have to take opioids, then please discuss any signs of addiction so that you can be aware of if you're starting to become addicted. And then if those signs arise, what actions can you take to avoid them? So just have that conversation with your physician. And also, there's some people that use opioids their whole life because of some kind of long-lasting pain. And they function well, they use it properly, but advice there is make sure that it's stored and locked up, because people will come into your home that are addicted to opioids and they will look through your medicine cabinets, they will look through your kitchen cabinets, they will look in your closets, they will look anywhere they can to try to find that medicine. And it's because they get so sick without it and it's so expensive. But if you lock it up, they can't find it. And then once you're done with the prescription, dispose of it. We have medication drop-off boxes at all the local police departments in our area and also at the Justice Center. And all you do is you take it and put it in a bag and then put it in the little box. And the box kind of looks like an old blue mailbox. The young ones probably don't know what they look like. Do you know what a mailbox looks like? But there's some advice on how to deal with opioids in your life. And then just some of the symptoms that I did not know of, and it was because I wasn't educated about opioid addiction. One is drowsiness and falling asleep quickly. This is dipping out. My son, I walked by his bedroom, and he was sitting in front of his computer doing schoolwork, I thought, and he was like this. And I walked by and I'm like, that's weird. But of course, again, I was trying to fit that information into my reality. So I thought, wow, he's been working hard, he's been going to school, maybe he stayed up really late last night to finish a paper, but he was dipping out. And when he had that car accident, that's what happened. 1 minute he was awake, high on heroin. Next minute he was dipping out, and then he ran right into the tree. And he had had several accidents where they were like little fender benders, and I didn't put two and two together. I just thought, he's a new driver, he's a boy, boys are really aggressive, and a little stupid. I mean, all kids are a little stupid, but anyway, we're all a little stupid when we're children. I mean, we're still stupid, I'm still stupid. Isolation from family and friends. He would spend a lot of time in his bedroom, sleeping. He would spend a lot of time in the bathroom, and I would knock on the door and go, Brett, why are you in there so long? Mom, I'm pooping. So of course, to fit it into my reality, I took him for his word. I trusted my child. I used to find this on the bathroom floor. This is a phone charger. And I'm like, why is he leaving the phone charger on the bathroom floor? He would use it to tie off his arm to get the vein. I would find, this is a regular pen. He would take it apart just so that he would have the sleeve, and he would use this to snort the heroin up his nose. And again, I would find these going, why is he pulling these apart? Things I never wanted to learn. But since I've learned them, I might as well pass them on. Loss of appetite. This was amazing. We drag him into inpatient rehab. And again, I'm still very naive because I'm new. And I look at the intake person, I'm like, is he bad? And they're like, oh, yeah, he's bad. And they ended up weighing him. My son had lost 30 pounds. Now with the big clothes and seeing him every day, I did not see the change. And then of course, you're busy taking care of the other 2 children, making dinner, going to work. I didn't see it. Difficulty communicating. Teenagers are hard to communicate with anyway, so I totally didn't see that one. I talked about the dope sick, the nausea and the vomiting. He would get sick maybe every 3 weeks. And in my brain, I'd go, oh wow, he's sick again. That kid needs to take better care of himself. But it was because he was without heroin or Percocet for 3 days. So then they start having those withdrawal symptoms. Change in behavior, slow breathing, that's sometimes if they're getting close to overdosing. Lack of hygiene, yeah, they don't care about bathing, and his girlfriend didn't know he was doing it either, and he was very uninterested in sex. All he cared about was getting high. And of course I didn't know that right off. I know that now, talking to her. Pinpoint pupils. Really, really little pupils. If they're outside and their pupils are really small, that's a huge sign. Oh, not outside, no, if they're inside and they're really, really small, because they should be big when they're inside. Runny nose. His nose would run all the time, but that's one of the side effects, and memory loss. Another thing I'd like you to take away from this, if you have children that are under the age of 25, their brains are still developing. And the effects of alcohol, marijuana, any kind of drug on that developing brain has a much higher rate of becoming addicted. And it's because it's still developing. 90% of people that have addiction, it started in their teens. 1 out of 5 high school students have tried a prescription illegally, and they did not obtain it from a doctor. They obtained it from a friend. I have one more other statistic. Ooh, where'd my glasses go? Oh, it'll come up. Yeah, I think that's it. Another thing, my son is my oldest, and I have 2 younger children, and I have a drug test in my home. You can buy them by the case, where they're only $5 a piece. So if anybody's ever interested, just let me know and I'll give you the website. And I keep that drug test on the top of my refrigerator, and I randomly drug test my son and my daughter. Now my son Matthew, he's kind of a square, so he doesn't do anything. So he's always like, okay mom, he walks into the bathroom, he's in the cup and comes out and comes up clean. My daughter, she's at CB West, she's a cheerleader, she wants to be in the in crowd, so she wants to be liked. I've caught her drinking twice, and I've also caught her smoking pot twice. Now luckily in my house, if they come clean when I take the drug test towards them, they get grounded for 1 week. If they come up hot on the drug test, they're grounded for 2. So my daughter admitted to smoking pot. Now the beauty was, it only took me twice to change her behavior. She went to Made in America. Do you guys know what Made in America is? Mm-hmm. The concert that was down in Philly that Jay-Z. Runs Saturday and Sunday. What did you say?
Jay-Z.
Oh yes, yeah, yes. She was walking in the crowd, and there's a lot of pot smoking there, and she was holding her boyfriend's hand, and she hit the dirt like this really quick, and her boyfriend's looking down at her going, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm not smelling that pot because I'm not getting grounded. And I was like, yes. And then the third thing for parents, grandparents, give your child a way to get out of a sticky situation. There's this program called the X program, and what you do is you have your child text you just the letter X. And that's a sign, Mom, I'm in a situation, I'm at a party where there's drugs or alcohol, I need you to come get me. So then you can call them and go, hey Susie, I'm coming to pick you up because guess who came into town? Blah, 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 and they want to see you. So they don't have to lose face. Because lots of times they'll just stay there because they don't want to be pointed out by their peers as a loser. Oh, you loser, you party pooper. But this way you give them the out so that they can be safe. Oh, and then to wrap this up, Brett's road to recovery was not easy. He was in IOP is intensive outpatient. He was in IOP for 8 days. In that facility, he was shooting up in the bathroom. I was really effing angry. I mean, I was trusting this facility with my son, and they weren't even testing him or checking his pockets. And he was high. They know what high looks like. But anyway, then he spent 41 days in residential treatment. The first night in residential treatment, it was in February, he kept calling his father, come get me, come get me, come get me. I'm leaving, I don't want to be here. And he was 19, so he can walk out. And thank God, his father and I stayed on the same page, and I said, just leave him there, leave him there, leave him there. They will call us if he walks out. And if he walks out, you and I will get in 2 cars and we will look for him until the next morning, because we don't want him to freeze to death. But luckily, he was a wimp and he stayed. And it was a really good experience for him. Now, from my research, I found that if they're in treatment for 90 days, it's the most success rate possible. So we sent him to Florida, to a rehab facility down there. Well, they treated him like he just stopped using, and he got sick of doing the same old stuff. So 3 other patients, I want to call them inmates, but because they're kind of held down, but they all jumped the fence and went out and got drunk. And so since he did that, and the facility called us, and I worried the whole day, but he came back, and then they had to kick him out, and they had to fly him home. But one of the requirements for him to live in my home was he had to be on the Vivitrol shot. The Vivitrol shot is a shot that they get every 28 days that blocks the opioid receptors. And when those receptors are filled, if he would shoot up with heroin, he wouldn't get high. So he knew it would be a waste of money and a waste of time. Now, he could still overdose, he just wouldn't have felt the high. And with medication-assisted treatment, so Suboxone or Methadone or Vivitrol, and they have a new injectable that's coming out in January that's Suboxone. That's an injectable which will last 25 to 35 days. The recovery rate raises to 50%. Without medical or medication-assisted treatment, it's only about 10%. So it's really important that people understand that you need that to learn how to behave in the world that you're used to being high in. I mean, you can't expect somebody to go into detox for 5 days and then go back out on the street and all of a sudden have all their behaviors change. They need time to change those. He spent 36 days in an intensive outpatient, and it was rehab after work. It was wonderful. I love those people there. And then he did have 3 heroin relapses. At the end of his Vivitrol shot, around day 25, it starts to wear off, and he knew this. So he shot up on month 1, 2, and 3. But by month 4, his brain was starting to get healthier and he was thinking better, and so he didn't shoot up again after that. He had 2 relapses with Xanax. Mom, what's the big deal? It's not heroin. I'm just trying to have fun. Well, when that happened, I kicked him out and he slept on a bench. It was the hardest thing for me to do. Hardest. But I couldn't take it anymore and I had to set boundaries. He had several jobs, and he also spent a year at Kutztown University. He came home with a 1.4 grade point average. So mommy said, nope, you're not going back. But today, 2.5 years clean. He is working full time. He's still just delivering pizzas, but he's paying his bills. He's healthy, and I have my sweet son back. When they're addicted, they're monsters, and it's not them, it's the addiction. So thank you very much for coming, and thank you so much for listening. Do you have any questions? No. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
They originally get the drugs from doctors. I mean, where friends can, I don't understand how it's so easy to get the drugs.
people obtain them in whatever way they can, but because they're $30 a pill, they'll sell them to make money. I know that if my daughter wanted to go to CB West today, I could call her right now, honey, I want to buy this, this, and this, any drug, we would be able to get it. So it's just that it's a black market. And kids will go into their own parents' cabinets and steal things. I mean, I had surgery and I had only taken 4 Percocet, and I maybe had, 15 or some left. And I never knew it until later, but my son had taken mine. But I didn't go check the bottle. I never needed it again. When there's a will, there's a way. But it's sad. It's very sad. And sometimes it can be a sports injury where the child has to go and have surgery and they get an opioid and then they get addicted to it. So there's many ways it can happen. Yes?
Do you have any suggestions on maybe trying to open up a parent's eyes? My sister is obviously addicted, and
Aw.
my father and mother are in complete denial about it. They make excuses, kind of like you were saying, like they don't want it
Yeah.
to fit in. And even though myself and my other 2 sisters are, they live in Arkansas, so I live away from this part where we kind of get involved.
Right.
But yeah, they make